What's up, you guys? It's Matt here. So I think this one's going to be a little bit of a different video where we just talk about something that I feel like made me very, very successful. And honestly, I have to give credit to an article as well as a couple of people that really put this into my head. Um, Especially the people that I worked with, for a long time, right? Not really a crazy long time, but I've worked a 9 to 5. I worked as an accounts receivable rep, an accounts payable rep. I worked as a billing clerk. I worked as a junior accountant, senior accountant. Moved up to or moved over to financial analyst, where we have multiple financial analysts. Then moved into this senior financial analyst role, to where I was making $100,000 per year. And most people would say that's enough. That's an amazing amount, it's an amazing accomplishment, and you should be happy about making that much money. However, things were definitely getting a little bit difficult, a little bit tight as you start to get into like a family life, as you start to get into these higher interest days, and everything else costing a ridiculous amount, especially when it comes to daycare. And we noticed that down the line that these things would cost a lot more. So I was always wondering like if there was another option, and that's where YouTube came along. So obviously during the transition from my 9 to 5 to YouTube, I had to have a period where I was also doing YouTube during my 9 to 5, and they gave me the opportunity to kind of maybe create some of these hours to stream and get my business off the ground. And then we parted ways. Now, the reason why we parted ways was because of this lesson that I learned. And this lesson honestly should be something that is taught in high school, in college. And literally, when you get to a point of high school, you should be teaching this as a parent to your child, because once they understand this and they start to go through maybe their job and their careers and what they're going to do, they'll start to think a completely different way and start to value not only the money that comes in, but also the time that's put in for it. So before we get into this video, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell for more of these videos. If you guys are into crypto, I have a link for Margex down below where you can leverage trade and basically utilize somebody else's money to make yourself money if you are comfortable with trading, as well as other referral links that are down there as well. But when it comes to understanding your situation, everybody has a unique situation. It's not just one person that kind of just fits all, right? It's not that case. It is different for you, just like it would be for me, right? I put in a certain amount of time. I'm comfortable putting in a certain amount of time, and I'm comfortable with getting a certain amount of money for that, especially when it comes to a 9 to 5. But there's a couple of things that people really maybe subconsciously can't deal with. One is having somebody that tells you to do something new without paying you anything more, and then also working just extra time to kind of impress, but then not get anything else, right? It's not about being told, it's about what you're willing to do. And I've seen it time and time again. There are people that work 12-hour days, 13-hour days at a certain time in the month just because, they want to make sure that the business knows that they're reliable. And there are people that work that much because it seems like they're required to, even though the job description says 40 hours. Why should you have to work 50 hours, when you should only have to work 40 hours? You know what I mean? So this is where I learned this lesson. And it's not to say that I work less time or anything like that, because I don't. I probably work more time at the moment. But that's because I choose to do that to be able to make more money and value my time higher. So, the money lesson. We're 4 minutes into this. The money lesson. What did I learn that moved me away or transitioned me away from my $100,000 a year job? Well, this one thing was super important. I'm going to take you to Microsoft Whiteboard, which honestly is a blackboard, and we're going to look at two things, right? We're going to look at the amount of time, and we're going to look at, I can't write, and we're going to look at the amount of money, right? Let's make that a little bit better. Let's do that. There we go. Amount of time and the amount of money. So let's say I was getting paid, make it easy, 15, or sorry, that's not even getting paid. Getting paid $15 an hour, working 40 hours per week, right? You're working 40 hours per week, multiplied by whatever, $15 an hour. Well, roughly, if you decide to, can't write, if you decide to go about this right here, right, throughout the year, annually, right? I'm not saying this is what this equals, but annually, let me see if I can write that out. Annually, you'll be able to make 30K, per year, right? That's not sustainable. That's not enough. But if you're making 30K a year, you're now valuing your time at making $15 per hour. Meaning that what a lot of people are doing is they're working overtime or they work, extra time, and maybe they'll get paid time and a half. Maybe you'll get paid, an extra $10 or an extra, $7 or something like that. Let's say you just somehow get paid 25, right? You get paid $10 more for these extra hours that you're putting in, right? That's amazing to see that, right? If you're working hourly, then you're valuing your time a little bit higher. However, most of the jobs within my field, if not all the jobs within my field, are not paid hourly. So a lot of people with a salary are putting in all of this effort for no more money. And they're putting in an extra 20 hours, 60 hours a week and valuing their time at zero. Or essentially looking at their time and going, all right, well, I have to devalue this amount that I'm getting paid because I'm putting in the extra hours consistently. So I started to notice that a lot of my time outside of work was driving to work, right? And sometimes that was 50 minutes when I drove for my accounts payable, senior accountant job, all of those things. I was not valuing that time at all. And I would drive an hour there, an hour back. I would also spend 8 hours or 9 hours there, as well as getting up and preparing to go to work, going to sleep a little bit early so I can get up and be rested during the whole entire work day, rather than being able to like take a nap or something and not have as much sleep because I get a little bit of sleep during the day. I had to make sure I was well rested, so I had to get more than the allotted hours of sleep in order to do that. So you're preparing, you're driving, you're working. All of these things are not factoring into how much you're physically getting paid. So, you have to value your time at a certain amount. And I know not everybody can start a business. I know not everybody can do things to where they feel like they are more valuable. But the only thing that I feel like what you could do and what I was able to do is set yourself a limit. If you're going to work, if you work 40 hours, then work 40 hours. I learned this from a former leader of mine. I wouldn't say boss, I wouldn't say manager, I wouldn't say director. He was a leader. I learned this from a former leader of mine that you have to value your time, you have to value your family's time, you have to value all of these things that are outside of just work. Everything is not necessarily money. But if you could find a way to make money while also spending time with your children, that's like a no-brainer, right? So if I can create passive income, if I can create ways to make money while I'm at home and while I'm able to converse with my daughter rather than being distracted within a meeting that's 45 minutes and she's over here, watching TV all the time, no, I can actually interact with her. I can go and do stuff and all of those things there. So the lesson that I learned here was just value your time a lot more. Value your family's time a lot more. And set yourself a schedule. Set yourself a limit on how many hours you're going to work. When I worked at my last 9 to 5, my set schedule was 40 hours and I was not going over that. There is no way that I'm going over it. You better find a way that we can kind of move this into a certain level. And I got things done, but then when it came to transitions above me, when it came to a new CEO, a new CFO, 3 other new CFOs, that's where things got a little bit difficult because they all had a different mindset to where nothing ever got finished, right? Because it's like, we want to focus on this stat. And if we're focusing on this stat and building a dashboard based on that, then we need to display something. And it may take, a couple of months to build up that dashboard, make sure that it works seamlessly, and also test run it to see people that are using it. And I built something like that they kept going off and on, and then the new CFO would say, no, we don't need to focus on that. We need to focus on this. So then this would really never get truly done or have a full test run. So it was always something where if you have a transition, you're going to have probably time that you're going to work more time. And I was not willing to do that, right? I valued my time a lot more, especially being paid salary. Hey, if you're willing to pay me more, then absolutely I will find a way to put that into my schedule, and we'll work an extra 5 hours. We'll work an extra 10 hours, but that's only if I'm able to be paid more. Don't work for more than what you have to. That's just labor that you're not getting paid for. Would you go and let's say you put everything together to make lemonade, and you were going to charge people $1, and then people were just taking it and not giving you money, and you're just like, would you be fine with that? No, it depends what the situation is, but probably not. Like, you put the time in to make that lemonade, you wanted to sell it for $1, and people find it valuable, so give me the money that I feel like I deserve. So the point is, you want to make sure that not only are you making enough for your life, your family's life, and all those things there, but you also want to make sure that you're valuing your time at whatever you're getting paid during work hours. And sometimes that may not be enough, right? If you're getting paid $15 an hour, that may not be enough to give you the life that you want. If you're getting paid $25 or $30 an hour, that may not be enough to get paid, or to do all the things that you want to do. So maybe you don't want to value that. So for me, I started valuing the amount of money that I can make per day outside of my job. And if I was coming over here and I was making, an extra $100 a day or something like that, however many hours I put in, let's say it was 1 hour, that I put in, I'm making $100 an hour. So why am I valuing my time at, I guess it was like 35, 40, 50 dollars an hour as you start to look at that. But why am I valuing my time there when I could value my time at $100 an hour, right? And it all depends how much I can get done and how much I need to get done. So if I'm only looking at 40 hours a week, I can only get a certain amount. If I'm looking at 8 hours, I can actually get $800 if I can truly generate that much and consistently generate that much. So my time became way more valuable as time went on. And as I got to the end of when I was working a 9 to 5, it became to where I was looking at maybe a value of like $200 an hour that I could take in. So I was valuing my time at a lot more, and I was actually getting paid a lot more. So we had to part ways because it just didn't make sense for me to value my time at maybe $50 an hour when I'm getting paid 4 times that outside of it. And I had to factor in all the other things like health insurance, which my wife has, and I'm on her health insurance now, dental insurance, all of those things that are there, and make sure that they are covered, health wise, as well as, Erica doing what she loves to do, and she loves to do that stuff. So, honestly, when I learned this lesson, it just worked, right? And it doesn't always work for everybody, but you have to have a plan after you figure this out, because that's why I think that people should learn this stuff in once they get to high school. They should learn this stuff before, maybe a parent will sit down with them and go, look, you have to value your time at a lot more than what you're valuing your time. And it's not saying that they should have to work right now, but just make sure they have that mindset to where when they get out of high school or college, or when they're in college, they can value their time outside of learning at a certain rate, and then they can continue to value their time that way. Because I see people at a job that they've worked for 10, 20 years, and while they are receiving the 5% raise and receiving promotions and getting 10%, if they would have moved along and moved to different positions, they would have moved up a lot further, and probably would make maybe twice as much as what they're making now, because they have so much experience, because they now value their time. They value what they're worth. So learn this lesson. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know if you've understood this lesson and if you've tried to implement this within your own time period. For people that are making hourly wages, it's a different story, right? You can get paid overtime. You can get paid double time and then value your time a little bit more. But then also, if you're even getting paid that extra amount, is that enough, right? Is that as valuable as you want to be known, right? If people are like, hey, can I buy your time? You're like, yeah, it's going to be $25. Would that be okay with you, right? Probably. It would be another $25 that you can gain, right? That it would be okay. But then you start to look at it and you're like, can people buy me really for an hour for $25? Maybe they should be able to buy me for $50. Maybe they should be able to buy me for $100. But it all depends on what you think your time is worth. Guys, I'm going to get out of here. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.